Oh, Karina is.
All right. Welcome everyone to Helm's developer call of October 28th, 2021. I'm glad to have, or we're all glad to have you on board. Similar process as usual. We're going to do announcements and then discussions. So I understood from Keybase Communication that we now have a new triage maintainer. If somebody can confirm that, it's YXX Hero. Somebody else aware that that's happened?
Yes.
Yay, so welcome to YXX Hero. And Scott is in the pipeline. Any other announcements? Nothing's on the list, but if somebody has something to bring up. No, so let's go on to discussions. To check if we had a triage maintainer, I thought, oh, maybe it's in the owner's file, and it wasn't. So I wanted to bring up, should we put triage maintainers in the owner's file? I guess this is more a question for the other maintainers, which means just Farina, I think.
So that does sound like a good idea because we should give people credit. I know over on Kubernetes in their owners files, they have people who are reviewers and approvers and all of those levels. So I think it's entirely appropriate. What I would do is, in fact, Mark, since you brought it up, if you want to do this, I already said
Sure.
I would email the maintainers and just say on the core list and say, hey, you know, this happens elsewhere. We should probably add it to our file. Lazy consensus, you know, 3 business day voting. We'll add him unless somebody wants to do something else.
Perfect. We'll take care of that.
Just create a new section, right? Triage or something like that. That explains it.
Perfect. Next item on discussion. Josh, who can't attend, says, please merge me. There's a pull request on the website. 1228. Did we put in the notes the link?
Yes.
So I'm not an owner there. Can somebody who is an owner eventually have a look when time permits?
I'm
Scott,
reviewing
thank
it
you.
now. Yeah, we're already looking at the OCI stuff per the last week's chat. So, not saying if anybody else wants to look at it, don't look at it, but I'm on it too.
Great, thank you. I just wanted to confirm with the OCI when some of this stuff came up on the mailing list. Commands that are gated, so hidden right now, should not be documented on our website. I guess that makes sense. Because we could, you know, enable the gate when we generate the docs. But then maybe that's misleading. I didn't know.
It's a real good question.
Maybe we should postpone that question for when we get a little further along toward pushing OCI into a full feature. Just because that process is already in the works, and the only I would love to hear what you have to say about this, Matt, but my first thought is we either should restructure the docs to make it clear that requires experimental. I just feel like if people come there directly and see experimental flags without like very clear indication that these are not something you should be using with Helm in production, that could be a problem. It could hurt. What do you think?
Yeah, so, well, there's 2 areas. So there's the OCI, and then there's our docs generation command, are the hidden ones that I'm aware of, right? And so when we cut a release that has the OCI as not experiment, then they'll just be in there. All of this stuff will then be in there in the generated material. So that'll be up. And otherwise, it's an experiment. And I would say my guess would be we just keep the process as is. It's the easy way. And as soon as it jumps out of the experiment, it'll be in the next generation of the documentation.
And people do have the command line documentation too.
Yeah.
If they enable it themselves, they can just do help. So yeah. Sounds good to me. All right. Anybody else has discussions? We have new, well, I guess nobody's new. I'm not sure if somebody's new or we have the usual players, but if somebody has something to bring up, this is the time to feel comfortable in doing so.
Yeah, hey, I'm let me turn my camera on.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm Adam, I'm new.
Welcome.
Yeah, thanks. I just wanted to signal boost. There's a couple PRs that are open still that let you add labels to releases, like the actual secret object that you create when you do a release. And those are really useful. Like Helm already lets you do like selection, like when you do a Helm list, you can select based on those labels. So yeah, just wanted to signal boost a couple PRs there.
Would you mind giving the numbers?
Yeah.
Somebody's doing it now. Maybe it's you.
So the earliest those could go in, because their feature editions is in the next Helm minor release, which I think is set for January. So just to give a timetable. So
Okay, yeah, thanks for expectations there.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I don't
Right.
know. I don't know if you want to talk about like whether that made sense as a feature, but it sounds like maybe it's not so controversial. It's just a matter of time.
Yeah, we'll have to take, I mean, we let you query based on this. The
Right.
hard part is going to be dependent on where they end up coming in and how are they carried over, right? So if they're like on Helm upgrade, and granted, I haven't looked at the pull requests, but if they're on Helm, something like Helm upgrade, and somebody forgets to do it, like one person adds it and then another person goes and doesn't upgrade and doesn't add it the next time, then they're gone and you can't query for them.
That makes sense.
So-
Yeah, it's a new secret each time.
Yeah, so the experience around this will be interesting to see how folks have talked about implementing it and that kind of thing. So I can't say I'm against it or anything. I just want to make sure that look at the implementation and the details and how it all works.
Yeah, make sure they can get carried over. Makes sense. Cool. All right, that's all I had.
Thank you, Adam, for
Thanks.
bringing this up. Who else follows? Hey, Bridget's here. Hey. Who else follows Adam's lead? Any points?
I don't know, but I want to thank Adam because it's going to be really useful.
The pull request brought up by Adam?
Yeah, I can think of several places where I wish we'd had this.
Cool. So I'm not the only one.
Hey guys, if there's nothing else, maybe post a question on a, have you seen type of question? So I'm having an issue with Helm install on a pre-GA version of Kubernetes. Is the version check that it does if the chart happens to have a kube version defined, let's say for example greater than or equal to 1.20.0,
Yeah.
then the
It's not going to install.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the reason for that is it gets into the use of semantic versioning and versions. And I think so. While Kubernetes versions look semantic, they're not semantic, and semantic versioning, which is where Helm ends up checking. This is an area we could probably use an improvement on. So the way we end up doing it is it uses a semver check on it, and it's not looking at anything that's a pre-release. So anything with the dash in it will signify it's a pre-release. It just automatically skips those. The cube version, if you had say 1.2, if you did 1.2 dash say 0,
then it matches.
Then it'll match because that'll turn on pre-release checking along with release checking. And so according to semver, it's ASCII characters, and in an ASCII character map, 0 is the very first one.
Right.
And so once you start matching at 0 and up, then it'll work.
Right. So that means the for pre-GA versions, let's say in a pipeline, the shards will have to be different then. Yeah, I cannot use the same shard that I use for a GA version that I use for a pre-GA version, correct?
If you put that in, that'll work on a GA version of Kubernetes as well. It's just basically telling the chart to, when it's looking for a version, include non-GA versions of Kubernetes.
Okay.
So
but
that
if
will
the
that'll
customer
work for
happens to
non-GA and GA.
star, so if the customer stars with the chart that doesn't have the pattern, right? So it doesn't include PGA, then they'll see an error, and then we just need to maybe tell them better in the error what to do, or what will be or maybe in documentation. Because the customer from the
Something
customer
might be able to
is
do,
like, oh,
yeah.
this works, but then it doesn't work.
Yeah, we'd have to have some other handling in if we give them a better error to detect why the error was there. We just find that it's not in the semantic version range, because you're not using a GA. And so we could probably maybe have better documentation and even point them in the help message over to that documentation where they can help figure it out. There's some things we could do to
Something
better
like that.
guide
All right,
people.
but if someone comes with a bug, the solution is like, okay, use this pattern with the dash. Therefore, you'll be able to match both pre-GA and GA versions.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Thank you,
Yeah.
Farina. That's good explanation.
Thank you, David, for the question. We got a full 15 minutes left if somebody else has stuff to bring up.
Yeah, I think, is my thing on the next?
Oh, yes, you added something in between.
I did. Oh, did I?
Well,
Did.
Karina put the notes on.
Yes, thank you. Thanks, David and early Adam for that. Yeah, so just a super quick update. I just wanted to let folks know that the momentum is still going from what me and Farina and Josh talked about last week. Where it's at right now is there are several people who have volunteered who are really enthusiastic who are able and very enthusiastic to help. David, who's on this call, is one of them. Just thinking who else is on the call right now. No one else on the call, but there are several other people, folks from Red Hat, folks from the U.S. Department of Defense, a few developers who are doing some interesting stuff. Someone else from Rancher. And anyway, it's a good crew of people, and the ORS maintainer folks, that so far all the communications have been really welcoming and good. So I think it's really just they needed a few extra hands, and it seems to be moving along. So that's really it. Still targeting January, but there's no real formal project management plan yet. I know on my list from last week I said I would connect with Bridget on that too. Not that it's your job, Bridget, but just to because I know that's one of the things you contribute. So that I think that's what's next. Is really we're gathering some of the blockers and trying to prioritize them and making sure to have some milestones so we can move ahead. So that's it.
Think with me offline about that. Sounds good.
Yeah. Cool.
Thank you. Yes, Alan, I think there's a vote ongoing for yourself as well to be a triage maintainer. Sorry for not mentioning it before. It was mentioned that the maintainers will be sifting through the votes. I think it's progressing well, and we should get probably a couple more soon. Thank you for wanting to help. That's really great.
Thank you, Mark.
I see we got moderator. Thank you, Farina. We got notes, Bridget. Do we have triage for next week? How was the experience, Scott? Was Farina nice?
The experience was, I think we well, yeah, pretty much failed. But also, my votes hadn't really come in, or at least it hadn't been tallied. So I didn't want to jump the gun. I'm willing and able, but I will wait properly.
Well, I was sorry. I mean, I was just the shadowing for triage. That's what I meant.
Oh, sorry. That yes, failed.
Well, it's
Yeah, that's
never.
probably my bad. I entirely forgot about it until we're partway into the week, and this was a week of scrambling, which is why I didn't volunteer for triage maintainer again, because I know I'll be scrambling.
Same. But I will also volunteer to shadow again and try to make that not fail.
Okay. We have Scott for triage with help. He will reach out to people in general, not necessarily Farina.
Yes, correct.
We only have one maintainer on the call, or two maintainers, and I'm not very good at triage myself, so you're gonna have to bug other ones.
Bug folks, okay. Will
Well,
do.
we just got to get the vote done real quick so we can throw it at Scott saying, hey, you're a maintainer, have at it. That's really what we need to do here.
All right. Did anything get added to the discussion after this? I think not. So do you guys want to claim the last 10 minutes, or somebody has something to bring up? 10 minutes for you guys. All right. So thank you all for joining, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Goodbye.